What a dominant debut from the Golden State Warriors. I thought they thoroughly outclassed the Lakers in basically every facet of the game, other than the fact that the Lakers have Luka Doncic, and that Luka Doncic is amazing. We'll get to Luka later. I rooted for that guy last year, and there wasn't a single moment where he looked like that. And that's one singular piece of upside that may or may not amount to something optimistic for the Lakers to take away from tonight. But if you replace him with a regular star ball handler, like let's say you just had injured Anthony Davis and that was 40-year-old LeBron that was out there, the Warriors win that game by 30. The Warriors outplayed the Lakers in every single facet of the game. I thought their intensity from the opening tip in terms of their ball pressure and physicality was better to start the game. I thought their backside rotations off of their double teams and just in general how scrappy they were in the middle of the floor, especially underneath the basket, was way better than what we were seeing from the Lakers on the other end of the floor. They were forcing turnovers on deep post catches from DeAndre Ayton, swarming Vando on his drives, forcing a ton of turnovers, getting out in transition off of them. I thought in general, they were, as a team, much sharper in transition. I thought they ran the floor harder off of misses and off of makes, constantly catching the Lakers jogging, but also on the other end of the floor, getting back and preventing those same opportunities for the Lakers on the other end of the floor. I thought they shot the ball better than the Lakers. I thought they rebounded the ball better than the Lakers. I know it's just one game, and I know LeBron didn't play, but I just thought the Warriors looked like a much better basketball team than the Lakers did tonight. We're going to dig into some of the specifics having to do with that matchup as well. I think that plays a role. But I want to start with some of the specifics that we saw from Jimmy Butler and Jonathan Kuminga, because those two guys, in a lot of ways, in a debut, demonstrated some of the specific things that the Warriors need to go their direction in order for them to compete for a championship this year. So let's start with this idea of the debate that we've been having all summer long about what kind of player the Warriors should be going after if they make some sort of all-in trade this year, whether that involves Kuminga or it doesn't. In those conversations, we discussed, should it be like an athletic wing who's more of like kind of what Andrew Wiggins was for the team in the past? Or should they look for a scoring guard? Or just in general, a scoring archetype, kind of like what Jordan Poole was for the Warriors when they won the title. And a huge factor in determining which direction they should go on that front, if they do look to make a trade this year at some point, is how does Jimmy Butler look as a scorer? Because there was a lot of basketball after the trade, even though the Warriors were winning, where Jimmy wasn't necessarily bringing a bunch of scoring pop. But then, last 3 games of the season, tons of scoring pop. Play-in game, tons of scoring pop. First game against Houston before the tailbone injury, tons of scoring pop. We had this like 5-game sample where we're like, oh shit, playoff Jimmy. This is the guy that is going to help push this team over the top into championship contention, right? But it was a small sample. Coming back from the tailbone injury, he wasn't able to secure a win against Minnesota without Steph. And so there were some question marks surrounding that. And I thought that was an electric debut from Jimmy Butler as just that secondary offensive force off of Steph Curry. He consistently was finding matchups that he liked off of some of the switching that the Lakers were doing. Really liked Gabe Vincent, really liked Jake LaRavia. You could tell that Jimmy in particular just had some comfortability isoing Gabe, just getting over his left shoulder for little bank shots and drawing fouls with quick, aggressive moves. The big thing with Jimmy is he brings a dynamic to the Warriors that they haven't had in years past, and that is the ability to grift your way to the foul line. I've been talking about this forever. It's a skill. It's something that it comes with kind of a polarizing discussion surrounding the role of free throws kind of like interfering with basketball games. But the truth of the matter is these guys are all over the league. They're skilled at getting to the foul line. I root for a couple of them on the Lakers. Austin Reeves and Luka Doncic are both great at it. You know, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's great at it. Jalen Brunson is great at it. And one of the guys that was great at it is Jimmy Butler. And, you know, there's this idea that free throws are just like handed down by the NBA as like some sort of gift to your team. That's not how it works. The way that it works is you either earn trips to the foul line on one end of the floor, and then on the other end of the floor, you either keep a team off the foul line or you send them to the foul line, and that's what determines your free throw disparity. Nothing else. Basketball games. Basketball and the way it's being played on both ends of the floor is what leads to the free throw totals that you see. And bringing Jimmy Butler in has given the Warriors a dynamic that they haven't had in the past, which is the ability to slow the game down by working his way to the foul line, which comes with all sorts of additional benefits. In addition to just points, a huge part of how you get a 30 ball out of Jimmy, it also allows you to set your defense. It allows you to get more game plan notes in, possession to possession. You have a chance to talk and to think about how you're going to guard on the next possession. There are all of these trickle-down benefits. It can disrupt the rhythm of your opponent. They're not getting up and down the floor. They're now stopping and going down to the block to get ready to rebound. Jimmy Butler is just really good at using pump fakes, weird driving angles, obviously the histrionics around the basket that all the foul grifters around the league use. And what did he have, like 16 free throw attempts tonight? That was a huge part of his ability to manufacture points for the Warriors tonight. Something we're going to have our eye on with the Warriors all season long is Jimmy's ability to score the basketball. And he just did that to a great extent tonight. A super optimistic debut for Jimmy on that front. Jonathan Kuminga, the biggest debate surrounding the Warriors over the last couple of years. And one of the things that I've talked about is the reason why things haven't panned out for Jonathan in years past. It comes down to two things. One, he struggles sometimes in read and react basketball, which is a pivotal part of playing for the Golden State Warriors. You have to make quick decisions with the basketball off of the advantages that Steph Curry creates, right? And then secondly, he has struggled to consistently knock down catch and shoot jump shots. And we saw a little bit of that up and down nature in the first half. He had a couple of shots where, he's taking a jab step three out of the corner when there's time on the shot clock, or forcing the action inside and getting blocked from behind because he's not reading the floor. A little classic up and down Jonathan Kuminga type of game in the first half. But they come out in the second half and they start spamming three-man action, him, Steph, and Draymond off the right side of the floor. And it presents all these like easy reads for Jonathan. Like, okay, Steph's cutting off of this one. I'm going to just relocate to the top of the key. Oh, bam, the ball's in my hands. I'm wide open. Take a catch and shoot three, knock it down. Okay, this time I'm slipping out of the screen as Steph is going up towards the top, and I'm getting open along the baseline. Boom, pass, finish with the right hand at the rim over Rui Hachimura. The kick out on the left corner off of actually it was in the right corner with Luka contesting off of one of those drives from Steph Curry. He was just playing Warriors basketball. He's going to have his opportunities to attack one-on-one. He had an opportunity in the second half to go at Luka's chest, and he got over his left shoulder for a little hook shot. Especially in bench groups, he's going to have opportunities to be more aggressive. But in order for him to be a functional player with the starters, especially, but in general, just as a large role player for the Warriors, he's got to hit his open catch and shoot threes, and he's got to make the simple reads. I'm driving to the basket. I draw Ayton, or I can't remember if it was Hayes or Ayton at that point in time. Draw that. I think it was Hayes. Draw him in help. There's Al Horford right there. Drop it off. No need to force it. Just make the easy read that's right there in front of you, right? I thought Kuminga was fantastic in that second half. Yes, he was getting cooked by Luka, but I think that was more of a Luka thing. Luka has done that to the best. Like, this version of Luka has done that to the best defensive players in the world. I watched him 2 years ago do it to Jaden McDaniels in the conference finals. Is one of the certainly a better perimeter defender than Jonathan Kuminga, right? So, like, that is what it is. All you can do is be physical and make him work. Luka's, one of the 2 or 3 best players in the world, right? But when it comes to the job that he has on offense for this group, I thought he executed it extremely well in that second half, leading the Warriors to pull away. Buddy Hield. One of the things we're going to consistently talk about tonight in this matchup is the difference in the foot speed between the two teams. And Buddy was getting a lot of opportunities to attack, both like with someone sprinting at him, where he could show the ball and quick relocate, and get another shot up, or run up the key, relocating out of the corner as someone's driving along the baseline or cutting along the baseline. He was getting good looks, and he had 5 of them tonight. Buddy talked about in media day that he shot the ball better this summer than he ever has. And he expected to shoot the ball well this season, comes right out, he's talking shit to Luka. hits 5 threes, a bunch of big ones in the second half that paid off those classic kind of Golden State sequences. And the Warriors end up chewing up and spitting out the Lakers tonight. I've been super fascinated by this concept. I was texting with Jackson about it during the game. You know, the change from Luka to Anthony Davis is so bizarre in the dynamic in this particular matchup between these two teams. And it's kind of a classic example of how basketball is more art than science. I don't think anybody would disagree that Luka Doncic is a better basketball player than Anthony Davis. He just is. I mean, what did he have, like 41, 13, and 7 or whatever it is he had tonight? Like, Luka is one of the greatest offensive players in the game today. He is a better basketball player than Anthony Davis. But he fundamentally changes the athletic profile of this Lakers roster. One of the things that happened in the previous years in that stretch there, 2023, 2024, 2025, before the Anthony Davis trade, is the Lakers kind of dominated the matchup with the Warriors. And the reason why is they had Anthony Davis on the back line, roaming off of whoever it was, Draymond, Kevon Looney, underneath the basket, which gave the Lakers perimeter players a ton of leeway on the perimeter to overplay, whether that would be top locking to force guys into back cuts or just in general denying off the ball, overplaying pull-up shooters, overplaying Steph himself when he'd be on the three-point line. And Anthony Davis was the type of rangy player on the back line that could cover tons of ground and use his length to completely shut off the rim. And it just consistently ended in mediocre shooters, guys like Kuminga, guys like Gary Payton, guys like Draymond Green having to take threes. And it was a matchup that skewed heavily towards the Lakers. You swap Luka for Anthony Davis, and all of a sudden, those perimeter players don't have that same leeway. If they get back cut, there's nobody back there. Ayton all night long was head in the clouds. Just had no idea. Like, he was floating around the perimeter and was out of position to help on back cuts like a dozen times throughout this game. They do not have anywhere near the backline defense, especially with LeBron James out of the picture. LeBron and Anthony Davis, the two of them roaming on the backline, totally different matchup than DeAndre Ayton and Luka Doncic and Rui Hachimura roaming around on that backline. And I thought it was super interesting because one of the advantages that the Warriors have had consistently, even in the matchups where the Lakers had done some winning, the Warriors were a faster team. They were faster on the perimeter. This concept of perimeter speed is something we talked a lot about throughout the season last year for the Warriors. So when they get in their blender and it's ball and player movement and guys are sprinting off of screens and doing all the stuff that they do, when there's not an Anthony Davis to clear up all the mistakes on the back line, they are just chewing up and spitting this team out. And by the way, this is not just an opening night take. Those of you guys who followed the show last year, you'll remember after that big showdown, that big game late regular season, the first one where it was like Luka, LeBron, and Austin versus the healthy Warriors, the Warriors chewed them up and spit them out in that game too. And if you guys remember, I came on the show after that game and I was like, I don't like this matchup for the Lakers. The Warriors just look substantially faster than them at every position. And we're talking about a Warriors team that's got 4 dudes that are over 37. And it's part of it is Steph. Part of it is the fact that Draymond does play very fast for a big. And part of it is this is a Warriors team that has a depth of role player talent off of their stars that all know how to play in this system. And I was just super fascinated by that tonight as they just chewed up and spit out the Lakers. And so the Lakers go on a late game run, right? Warriors have a couple turnovers. Steph misses a tough step back 3 over Gabe. Austin gets a couple of buckets on the other end of the floor. All of a sudden, I think they cut it to 6, right? But right after that, the Warriors immediately regained control. Lakers had a really good defensive possession where they played all the actions right, and the ball ended up in Draymond Green's hands in the right corner. And, sometimes in order to shut down those actions, you got to concede something. They were conceding that corner 3 to Draymond, and to Draymond's credit, he stepped up and he knocked it down. Lakers go right down. They post up Luka Doncic on the right, I think it was against Buddy. I can't remember who it was, but he's posting up on the right side. He draws a double team, swing, ball goes to Gabe in the left corner, and Steph Curry makes an unbelievable defensive rotation out to the corner and blocks Gabe Vincent on that three. I thought Steph was great all night defensively, competing in and out of actions. He had, again, a couple buckets that Luka gave him, but that's just Luka being Luka. Steph obviously is the engine that's running everything they're doing offensively, makes a huge defensive play. Then they go down to the other end, and Jimmy ISOs Luka Doncic, beats him off the dribble, gets a little reverse layup, and the game is over. And you can see the formula for the Warriors, right? Like, you need Steph to be Steph. You need Jimmy Butler to provide that legitimate secondary scoring via shot making, attacking in the post, and getting his way to the foul line. And then you either need winning basketball from Kuminga, like we saw in that second half, or a player in a trade that does that sort, like that provides that that form of winning impact. From there, it's the system and the culture. It's the depth of role player talent. You get Will Richard coming in and contributing the way that he did defensively. You get the Brandon Pajemski just scrappiness all over the floor and hitting big shots every once in a while. You get just the depth. This is a team that consistently every year has like somewhere between a dozen and 14 guys that can step in and play. And like we haven't seen DeAnthony Melton. We know what Moses Moody can do when he's healthy. It's this Warriors team, you know, I'm not quite as high on them as some of the projections I've seen. Like, I've seen win projections as high as 57 wins. I don't think they're going to get to 57 wins, but it's easy to see how they can get to 52, 53 wins in the stacked Western Conference because they have a formula. And again, the big swings that we got to keep an eye on: Jimmy's secondary scoring, Jonathan Kuminga playing winning basketball, knocking down open shots, being able to play that read and react ball. And if he doesn't do that, what they're able to get in a trade for him from there.